You might need coffee for this one, but I'll make sure to scream every couple of minutes to wake you up. Ha! Yeah, wake up. You ever think about something you think you should or must do? Like, I should stop stealing candy from babies, or something similar to that. Thinking about things we should or must do can bring on feelings of guilt, anxiety, and just general discomfort. For me, I often feel guilty about doing non-trading related things. Sometimes I'm like, I should be sim trading historical data right now. But since I'm epic rational guy, I'm like, hey, you idiot, you're like 4 gin and tonics deep right now and on your 7th Pong game win in a row. Get your head in the game. Trading can wait. I'm sure many of you do that too, or at least some variation of that. Well, these should statements make us feel guilty and disappointed in ourselves. Like, I'm trying to figure out what handshake this guy's gonna go for when I introduce myself. I don't need to be feeling guilty about what I should be doing. Trading will always be there, so I gotta do normal people things. When we feel like we should be doing something else, like practicing trading when doing other things, we set unrealistic standards for ourselves. Ourselves? How are you supposed to be proud or satisfied with yourself if we are thinking that we aren't doing enough? I know many of you who regularly talk to me that seem to believe that you should not be making any mistakes while trading. Hey, come here. Give me a hug. Ah! Wake up! When you think that you should be trading without making mistakes, you set yourself up for big sadness when you do mess up. This makes trading horrible because it adds a ton of stress and anxiety to your life. Many of you are currently working jobs and are in relationships, so you need to work on these self-harming should and must statements. Emotional reasoning. Similar to the short older white women who all had the same Karen haircut at the small town I went to college at, some of these are hard to tell apart. Emotional reasoning is one I like a lot. Well, I don't like it, but I like teaching people about it, since everyone does it but doesn't always recognize it. Sorry, everyone except you, because you are perfect. Mwah! I also want to throw out that there's a difference between cognitive distortions and someone telling me they're sad, to which I respond to by telling them that they're wrong. It's a funny scenario, but there are slight variations where that happens a lot. There's a fine line between validating feelings, listening with compassion, and correcting irrational and harmful beliefs that aren't grounded in reality. Sometimes there is a disconnect between reality and our perceived emotional reaction to it. But we trust our emotions, and so we choose to believe our perception of what happened. Feeling like something is true doesn't mean that it is. Feeling like the market will go up doesn't mean it will. Feeling like you aren't doing enough to learn trading doesn't mean it's true. Or maybe you feel lonely, so you assume nobody cares about you. Our feelings are strong. I mean, that's kind of what makes us human, right? I'm pretty sure my cat didn't feel guilty after catching that bird and biting its head off. But we can't be like cats, so it's important to reflect on how we feel and question whether our beliefs are grounded in reality or just in our own emotionally twisted reality. We must become cat-human hybrids. Hats. Nah. Cumin. Wait, no, that's a spice. Ah, so that's how they make it. Cats and humans. Ah! Wake up! Sorry. Jumping to conclusions. Hold on, resisting making a joke about my fiance. Okay, I'm good. Specifically in jumping to conclusions, we will be talking about fortune telling. We are constantly predicting things about the future, and it's just part of having a functioning adult mind. But this can become a problem when all of your assumptions about the future are negative. Now, I'm going to kind of veer off into my own path, away from the common accepted things about cognitive distortions. When we assume that something like a trade or trading day won't go well, part of it is because of a deviation from reality. Things aren't always going to go poorly, but it's easy to fall into the mindset of expecting things to never work. When we prepare for disappointment by expecting it, it hurts less when it does happen. Having unrealistic expectations about the future is a way to deal with the pain, which reminds me of something called self-handicapping. This is when we avoid the things we need to do to be successful so we can blame failure on that instead of on ourselves. Some people purposely don't study for a test or get too little sleep in order to blame poor performance in order to blame poor performance on that. Rather than hurting their self-esteem, they blame their downfalls on other factors. It's a way to avoid pain, just like fortune telling, sort of. This is self-sabotaging yourself in order to have something to blame other than you, even though it's 100% on you. This is different from self-attribution bias, though, which you can click on in the top right. It's a really important bias to get under control. This is also vaguely related to something called the locus of control, but I also already talked about that one in this video in the top right. Alright, no more self-promotion. Just kidding. Please sign up for Webull to get free stocks in the description, and also check out the trading firm Trade Day using the code in the description for 20% off. Ah! Wake up. Magnets. Wait. Magnets. Magnification. Now this is a good one. Actually, I recently talked about this with someone who was feeling down about making a bad mistake. They had a great couple of weeks of trading, feeling great about their progress, and then they made a bunch of mistakes during one trading session that got out of their control. While I listened and empathized with them, it was also important that I challenged the way they were thinking about themselves at that moment. Sure, they messed up big time on that Friday. But what about the other 10 trading sessions that went well before this one? While it's important to reflect on our mistakes in order to avoid repeating them, don't forget about the 10 out of 11 trading sessions. It wouldn't be fair to magnify this one day and minimize the 10 other days. Not only would that not be fair, but it's bad for our well-being. We cannot magnify the negative and minimize the positive. Explaining this to the person I was talking to helped him out a bit, which I was happy to see. Now we're going to talk about labeling, although I might veer off the railroad tracks a bit and just start talking about something that's sort of related. And by I might, I mean I definitely am, and that's actually the plan. So labeling is when you judge yourself or someone else based on behavior. That might sound strange, but behavior is not indicative of who you are as a person. This is very similar to the fundamental attribution error, which is when we attribute someone's behavior to a personality trait instead of to the social situation. Actually, isn't that the same thing? Why are there like 5 different concepts that all mean the same thing? If you do something stupid on a trade, that doesn't mean that you are stupid. When the cashier fumbles your groceries with the scanner or whatever, that doesn't mean they're dumb. Maybe they're just nervous because the line is long and the people in line look impatient. Like I said, you're not a stupid person for making a stupid trade. Don't forget the situational factors. Trading is insanely intense. Your money is on the line, and becoming successful means a lot to you because it implies financial independence and complete freedom. Trading has a ton of pressure behind it because we want it so badly, and combining that with your hard-earned money being on the line is a recipe for dumb decisions. Remember that it doesn't mean that you are dumb, though. Stupid trade does not equal stupid person. Implementing change. So, learning about cognitive distortions is one thing, but actually using this information requires some effort on your part. If any of these topics connected with you, then I recommend writing them down. Add some of these to a document so that you can look at them. Learning is one thing, but implementing it requires a constant reminder until it becomes second nature. Right now, I'm personally working on should statements and trying to recognize when I say something like, I should be working on a video, or I should be sim trading. These thoughts only serve to make me feel guilty and anxious that I'm not using my time correctly, or that I'm missing out on something. So now, when I recognize that I have one, I say, shut the heck up, you butt face. In those exact words. Sort of. Mostly. Kind of. Use the link down below to get free stocks worth up to several $1,000s from Webull, and thank you very much to my patrons. Come on over. Come hang out with us. Water's nice.